folks may not know about, may not recognize the name, or somebody that could stand out?
Well, I could almost go down through the whole list, but I hate to leave anybody out. Earl Calloway was a guy we picked up from Godby down there. Ronnie Cottrell, a receiver that was, once again, one of those guys I'm going, how is this guy out here? I feel like I could almost say that about all of them. Darius Jackson was a guy that, my kids went to Spanish Fort. I got to see him play in the championship game. We already had Klein, Dylan Klein committed, who, has got a great bloodline and a great history. But Darius was a guy we didn't know a lot about, other than everybody at Spanish Fort said, who is this guy? How is a 6'1", what is his statistics?
6'2", 205.
6'2", 205, the guy squats 500 pounds, he hang cleans over 300, benches over, how's that guy still around as a defensive player? He's all-state and whatnot. I feel like if you go and look at this group of offensive linemen, without singling any one guy out, we've already talked about Steverson, but I'm talking about some good quality, size. These are big kids that are athletes. When you look at this group, they walk through the door, you're going to go, these guys can play right now. So they're coming from good programs like Aniana and Piedmont and Rehoboth, and they can come in and compete. Now, obviously with those guys, sometimes it takes them a little bit longer, but they're not sloppy. They've played on both sides of the ball. Lee at Ider played both sides of the ball just like Dylan did. So, these guys are athletic. We got guys from great programs. At Jackson, we got Bo, we've got Johnson, we've already talked about. We've got LaKendrick James. They're coming from a great program. So, I think it's, like I said, it's just a good mixture of guys.
From my local paper standpoint, can you speak specifically to the two County kids?
Sure.
Owens and Bishop. One is a skill position guy. I think he can do a whole lot of stuff. And the offensive lineman and Bishop.
I tell you, Owens is a pretty neat story because, everybody says, hey, I got a good kid at my school who you're going to love. And, of course, Frank Tucker, obviously we all know him and what kind of coach he is and the history of Alexandria. But without fail, I had girls that went to that school that would find me at a county basketball tournament to people saying, this guy is truly a great kid. But, wherever they put him, he was successful. If they moved him out at receiver, you knew the ball was coming to him and he made a play. He was a tailback. They were going to give him the ball. So they were going to move him around and get the ball, and he was pretty dominant. So we feel like he could be a running back, a slot receiver, could do a lot of things. Bishop, what Steve and those guys are doing at Piedmont. A great program. They're winning. They're doing it the right way. He's coming from a place where he's expected to work, expected to win. Once again, another one of these guys, if he walked in the door, he looks like a college offensive lineman today. I like his attitude. That was always, I just think back to All-Star games where we'd get a kid come in summer, and you're like, what have you been doing? You're not ready to play at the level you need to play at. And I'm looking at this group of linemen, I'm really, like I said, they're not sloppy. They're in good shape. They seem like good athletes to be that big. And I think Bishop falls in that same mode,
Of course, all of them are going to come in and compete for spots. Can you project how many you expect to be reasonable contributors next year? Coach Crow had a bunch of first-year guys play for them, and with the classic size, and I think there's maybe 4 or 5 guys in this bunch that can, look for them when we play Arkansas.
Yeah.
Can you say whoever it is you're going to play your first game against, how many of these guys are going to be?
Wow. I think, I don't know. To me, that's a super hard question with us not having gone through spring. I think the thing that I talked about was let's go through spring and see where our need. I know just if I'm watching them in a weight room, I say this is a position of need, maybe based on injuries. Offensive line right now, we're a little banged up. Receiver is a smaller group. Those needs stand out. Secondary is, there's numbers there. What are they going to do? Obviously defensively, we know we got work to do here. So I think anybody on the defensive side of the ball has got a chance to come in and contribute. But then I look at our guys and I say, man, they're working their butts off. We got a defensive lineman that's dropped 25 pounds. Or more. Who's all of a sudden now I'm looking at this guy 4 weeks ago. I'm like, I don't know. He may need to be an old lineman. Now I'm looking at him saying, this guy can play. So I think we're seeing some different things out of our guys already, so I don't know if I'm ready to make that statement, other than I do see a lot of guys who are coming from great programs and are used to competing, so I think anybody that says, you tell a kid, hey, you're used to being a competitor, but we're going to automatically redshirt you, that's not who I am, and I don't think you see that out of the great programs. They're going to give those guys a chance to compete. And I think most of these guys on that list, if not all of them, that's what they're expecting.
Are all of these in, or are you waiting on any papers from any of these guys?
No, all these guys are in. We received all, and we did that early this morning. I mean, that to me was hey, we want them in early. I don't want to wait, so we can talk about them, release them, do everything we're supposed to do, and they did it. So.
The Florida kids were the first ones in, I think?
Yeah, I think so.
Well, they had an hour jump.
Correct.
because
They were
on the
Eastern.
East Coast.
That's exactly right. That's exactly. I just didn't want to sit around all day worried about it. Let's get it in, get it done. I mean, this is what you said you're going to do. Let's do it. We committed to you. You committed to us, and they did it. So.
Was there a specific position or anything you were going after in your first signing class?
I think obviously you can see there's a big number of receivers. Maybe we're going to be a little more spread oriented. I think people know that from our history. That's kind of, there's going to be a chance for a lot of balls to be thrown. There's going to be maybe more reps. Now I'm sitting here saying we're going to be better defensively, and yet I'm saying offense is going to get more plays in. But I said that early on. We're going to try and score. We're not going to try and eke it out, grind it out, unless that's something we got to do to win the game, which is the bottom line. But there's going to be a chance to catch balls. And so we've gone out and this is a quality group of receivers, truly quality group. I think offensive line was big. We've got a couple guys that are O-line, D-line type guys. I think that's kind of tough in some ways for a guy who's not been just an offensive lineman. He's probably not quite as versed as a guy. But then you flip that around, and one, I can look at him on the other side of the ball because I've seen him. And two, he maybe is a little more versatile, So in the end, it's not a bad thing. You're just maybe not quite as developed as a guy that just totally played O-line. But I think that the numbers kind of spell themselves out. Linebacker, we're pretty solid there. So we signed one guy. We got most everybody back there. We need a little bit of help at outside. Felt like we need some help in secondary, specifically at safety. We may target a corner later down the road or something, but that's, and like I said, I think it's a good overall group. Got a couple tight ends, and we'll use our tight ends. We got tight ends that are back, but, we'll do a lot of things with those tight ends. Flex them out, wild, what's going on with tight ends now. They're being used in a lot of different ways, and that's definitely how we'll use our guys. So, and these guys can do that. Very athletic.
Coach, when you talked just a second about, you mentioned the wide receiver corps, but Rodney Davis, the only junior college player in this bunch. Talk about the addition of him.
Yeah, I think Rodney is a guy, East Mississippi won the national championship 2 years ago, and this is one of the things coming from their coaching staff that they had some guys, and I won't say names, but signed at a true BCS top 10 program, and he said, this guy's better, or can be better. So we feel like we've got a really good one. I think, once again, that's one of them deals where people are kind of, maybe amazed that we got this guy, but, he's got to get here and do his thing, but he's, 6'1", 195, great speed, a true difference maker, and then you get an older guy. So I think as if a recruit coming in sees, hey, I got a chance to come in here and make a difference, and this guy's got a lot of ability. Obviously, being at Stanhope, me coaching at Prattville, I know a lot about people in that area, and my guy's been in there, so we felt like we knew him. We knew the program he was coming from in high school, and then obviously coming from a really good junior college program.